All right, all right. We're gonna pull up the seven thunder. Neb, you want to start with the all affirmation first?
To Abdul Kuba Zone Taflata, Adana Ben Mabu, Hadis Aisha Yunakalu, Anuki Fian Aisha Shukalu, Wakula Shukalu, Naata Kula Fikalu, Anuki Ferragun Shukalu, Wakalu Kalu Ferragun Shuni, Anuki Wahid Kakalu, Wakalu Kalu Wahid Mani, Nuk Aikilu, Aikilu, Kama Ferragun Shukalu, Waksu Kama Faidu, Nuk Aikilu, Aquenu Kudi, Nuka Fili Fikalu, Kama Tawukama Kafazi Kalu, Ami Fikalu, Anuki Kabahawa, Kalu Kalu Nuki. Kalu Yaku, Keki, Kalubamu, Gabi, Kawun team. Getting our prayers, thinking some deeds, root, divine love, in all. I am in the love of all, and all love is me. We are all in all. I am a part of all, and all is a part of me. I am one with all, and all is one with me. I can succeed as a part of all, and fail as an individual. I can be all I wish in all, as long as my wish is to stay in all. I am never alone. All this I am. All can I can. All does I do. Poor.
All right, y'all. So I'm gonna have Neb pull up the seven thunders so we can go through it. But Rod, it's up to you. Wherever you want to feel that is really important to this day and time to share with the family.
Yeah, we just gonna do open Q&A, whatever because that's if you ever noticed, Bobby used to always start back in New York. He used to open up with the Q&A.
Oh yeah.
The Q&A always establishes the question that's lingering in the collective that's present.
Let's go.
So in order to get to that question, we have to let people start asking questions and it'll steer the conversation.
Y'all hear that? Let's go with the questions. I know everybody got 1,001 questions, but when it comes time to ask it, you can get them, right? Hopefully you wrote them down. All right, you ready with the questions?
Yeah, my question does. Hey, welcome, brother Hayes, Mr. Chris, my brother. My question does pertain to the thunder, because I was talking with my brother earlier today about these seven thunders as mentioned. You know what I'm saying? The old man said that back in the day to us about these seven thunders at the end. Then he started calling himself Thunderbird, Black Eagle, right? Then I know thunder relates to Thor, to Hootie. Is there anything you can share with that, as far as the seven thunders? Does that relate to Thunderbird, or is it thunder or lightning that he's mentioning with these seven thunders? And why did he even mention the word thunder?
Okay, so we know that the seven is significant as the seven Neteru. We know it's the seven African powers. We know that it's the seven chakras. So we're talking about the thunders. Go back to it and there was a verse in the Bible about Enlil, and it said when he spoke, his voice was like the many thunders.
Yes. And also
it roared like many waters. Right, so it takes us back to Ryan Karinga's book, The Hosea. Right, we talking exercise the throat chakra, being able to speak with the authoritative utterance. This is what the thunder is. It's the speaking of the master that can reach the masses by talking the language that talks to their soul. And the feeling is the same feeling you get in church when they say you felt something tingling, you got the Holy Ghost. No, you got an activation of a code that sent you a message to your physiology that you picked up a key. And some of the people ain't ready to receive the key, so they flop around like a fish. I mean, they activated something that wasn't prepared to be activated. Therefore, they can't control it. It controls them. That's the whole Holy Ghost. It's the activation of that mitochondrial energy at the spur of the moment. And it causes them to go into their primordial mind state, speaking the primordial tongue. They call it speaking in tongues, but that's not what speaking in tongues is. What they do in the Baptist church comes from the old earth religions, what they call it voodoo now, Santeria, Ifa, right? All of these is the same thing, but different cultural Twist give it a different name. And the seven thunders is the seven masters speaking, right? Which we gonna see them real soon, because we get to the point where they won't be able to hold the floodgates. So this imminent change is gonna eventually rupture. And when it do, then you gonna see what the seven thunders mean when seven masters is up there telling y'all the story of what's been going on the land.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. That correlates with the fifth thunder right there. Well, this is happening right now. If y'all can read that, you see those thunders right there, fifth and the sixth thunder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they come in stages. There's one, the first one come, much starvation, sickness, starving, and children. This is talking about the social conditions of a people. In order to have starvation, and you have to be lacking in food, and then that's going to make you be sick. And when children starving, the food is really deprived. So this is the conditions that we seen in the 80s in Ethiopia. The second thunder, the sky becomes sick with holes in it. It's just that the chemtrails that look like sores, lung disease spread. So now this is showing you in the sky that these chemicals they put up there, so it'll come up as clouds. And so this is the person that's speaking on the earth, caring for the earth. As you see, it's got from holes polluting water, growing, deforming these bacteria in the water. Sea animals begin to die. Fish are trying to get out of the water. Water becomes death to them, physical and spiritual illness, mutations in animals. It's just like the effects of a aftermath of a nuclear holocaust. Then you got the third thunder. Many species, mutations in animals, crossbreeding in species. We're seeing this today. Death of frogs, honeybees, turtles, deformed humans, multiply, genetic splicing and cloning. This is somebody that's talking about eugenics. And eugenics and the effects of eugenics and the chemicals in the food and the water to alter the genetics of the human is causing these side effects in other animals as well. And then the humans are crossbreeding tigers and lions and wolves with domestic dogs and all this stuff.
Yep.
So then you got the fourth thunder, sign of the twins, Yah and Wei. That's the balancing of the masculine and the feminine. One guards the South Pole, the other guards the North Pole. Habit begins when these pole structures break down. Religion, moral, and financial. The double wins, El Nino takes over. So the El Nino was the phenomenon of the Pacific precipitation that they attributed to global weather patterns in the 90s. But there's another part called El Nino that they don't talk about, which is also the secondary part of these forces. When you look up El Nino, it's a different anomaly in a different part of the world, but they work together. Right, so this is divine masculine, divine feminine coming in unity to balance our earth. But before you get balanced, you're going to create chaos, which is havoc begins. Right. So the structure that's breaking down is the balance between the north and the south, or divine masculine, divine feminine. Right. Then it say the fifth thunder, the four great people will perish. Floods, lightning, storms, tornadoes, landslides, hurricanes. This is where we at now. Hail in the summer, forest fire. What was that?
That queen gone, ain't she? That one, that wicked witch.
Oh, Queen Elizabeth.
Yes.
Yeah. But children killing their parents, rampant insanity and murders, and upsurge in drug addiction and demonic revivals, parading themselves as righteous. El Nino, the little girl will come. Did I just say that?
Yeah.
Then you got the sixth thunder. Changes occur. The star people return. This is the return of Nebu. Signs in the skies, new planets, new galaxies, meteoric storms. Because you see new planets when you get to a different part in the galaxy from where you was thousands of years ago. the skies look slightly different. Presence of divine, disregard and respect for present, for world governments, leadership, politics, and finally the seventh thunder for the torch to shift to the new governments.
Actually, what we're going through right now, that sixth thunder, then the end of the world as you know it, that's a change of everything. 2030.
So you can lay 7 masters that took up each one of these over the last 100 years. And different people gonna see a different master in any one of these positions that's telling about these events, right? Because you had some that, like for instance, Father Divine, Sweet Daddy Grace was feeding the poor, right? So now we start there at the first thunder, right? Then you had what's that? Carter G. Woodson was a chemist, and it was telling us about the processing of the foods and the effects, but he was mostly focused on the educational process. So the part of this, when he was talking, we didn't hear him. But you can lay down these tenets, and you will find that somebody had complained about all of these things. Martin and Malcolm both complained about the governments of the world. Elijah and Dr. York.
Absolutely.
I was looking at 2030. That 2030 is 2022 right now. That's darn near 7 years from now. You know?
But you're gonna see something before then. But you gotta remember, when you're talking about changing the global government, that shit don't happen in no 2 days. People want to see the results. They looking at the fallout, the rollout of this shit in real time. It's like the 48 Laws of Power say, speak the need for change, but don't change too much too fast. This is what's happening. We telling them about the change that's taking place, but we can't tell them about it faster than it's happening because they can't even see the change that's taking place in their face.
Do you think there'll come a time when they won't be able to deny the change in their face? When they see that,
so I call that shock and awe. It's gonna come a point where you're gonna be like, what the fuck is going on for the people that don't know, that's not in them out here teaching and finding people that's teaching, the people that's just going about their day-to-day life, la 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 la, merely, life is just a dream. That shit. When the shit hit, they gonna be fucked up. They gonna be traumatized.
Right.
Because they not expecting that this stuff was going on, and it's been going on the whole time, and people like us been trying to tell them.
We always had this thought concept that when it really hit the fan and people see it, we'll be the first ones they try to call and blow up the phones with. Because it's like, he told me this all these years, you know?
You miss me? Miss me with that.
Yeah, well, they don't come because when they look for clarification of what they're seeing, the mind gonna naturally take them to the only person that ever told them something similar to what they experienced. They're not gonna know where to go. So the confusion, the mind gonna send them to the people with the answers, the answers.
Let's go.
So that we can give aid as the aiders. So it's a translation flip. You come to the answers to get the answers, and we come to your aid as the aiders.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I've been noticing like a lot of these people, like organizations, even the World Economic Forum and different people been talking about 2030, what they got to get done before 2030. It's like a lot of people is like talking about that particular number, 2030, the year 2030. What do you think about that? Have you been hearing that as well?
I've been hearing a lot of stuff about the 2030. They got 2030, 2030. It's because we have, as the people responsible for the cleanup, we ain't got the luxury of the people that had the luxury to do the dirt. They had 6,000 years. When we take it back from them, we don't got no 100 years. We don't got 40 years. Once we initiate this action, we got at best 10 years. And this started in 2019, right? So since 2019 started and we've been on what's called the redemption process, we only got 10 years to bring in the age of Aquarius by cleaning up the old paradigms that didn't serve humanity. These old paradigms are represented by the energy that was once people on the earth. And we call them by their names, but now they not physically here. You can only read the energy signature that they left as a master. Mm-hmm. Right? So we can be mad at Enlil. Like me, I cuss that motherfucker out on a regular basis. Right? But the reality of it is his signature, his 6,000 year stamp was placed and he executed that shit, and we still suffering the effects of his thinking. So until we overthrow that thought paradigm, which is the monotheistic religion with democratic and socialist style governments that's really disguised military organization, right? So they come in, instead of organizing you according to family structure, they regiment everything. That's why they got all of our streets and squares now instead of concentric circles to the center. When we was running it, if you look at all of the old cities, they were all concentric circles to the center. Now they all square and line. Well, so we went from Fibonacci sequence to rudimentary geometry.
Mm-hmm. The spiral to the square, the circle to the square.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So now we had to go back to what was original. If we revert back to the oral traditions, that's what we was doing before they came. Telepathy and oral statements, what you say out in the open. And that's why Noble Drew Ali called oral statements and prophecies is nothing more than the hadith. Right? But they call oral statements for a reason, because every statement stands alone on its own merit. So you got to figure out what the fuck is he talking about. So he gave you something called your 101s to answer the oral statements and prophecies, but it's all veiled thinly in order for you to lift the veil quickly. But we didn't see what he was doing because we didn't remember our original languages, because they killed off the elders and miseducated the youth.
It's the same thing they're doing right now in this day and time, especially with the music. The music and the culture alone is making the next generation even more ignorant, even more lazy, even more self-righteous.
The thing about hip hop, it's a great polarizer. It can either bring you together or separate you. Hip hop is going to be one of the means by which the youth get to work with elders and still maintain their youthfulness. It's going to be the forefront of, you got the old school artists that's producers now working with new artists. So you got 50-year-old producers working with 18, 19-year-old artists, right? That's how we reestablishing the link between the elders and the youth. Because Dr. Dre not finna facilitate the same stuff that went on at Death Row in 93. It's retarded right now for him to repeat that. It's counterproductive. It won't get nothing done, accomplished, positive. So he had to deal with the youth from those who was talking about a different subject matter and coming with a different approach to the music and the art form.
I think it's a part of
one of the craftiest conjures we laid down.
Brother Hayes, I think it's a part of the frequency shift too. Like, you know, right now, we don't want to hear killing, shoot, bitch this, hold this. I think most people are not on that frequency the way we were back in, let's just say, the 90s and the early 2000s. You know what I'm saying? I think their
Yeah,
frequency
because
has shifted.
now remember when they came with hip hop, this was right on the heels of what's known as the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement produced soldiers to fight in a war domestically. They knew that generation was going to be born to go to war. That's why they was waiting and had they plants all over our communities to turn us against each other. So they got us killing each other by friendly fire. But that war energy that came from the 60s has to give way to another energy. And now what we producing out of that war energy, the ones that's left are becoming the elders. And now you got leadership that think more like generals than politicians. This is the new wave of elders. The conjure of the hip hop go all the way back to the early 1900s with spirit knocking, rapping and tapping, right? Which sprang out of New Orleans conjure. And we always put it on the drum. We want to get the message through the community, we put it on the drum. What do that mean? Put the story to music and let the griots tell it around the fire at night. Now the fire is called the club.
That's heavy because one of the brothers of hip hop, KRS-One, said hip hop. He kind of shared the idea that hip means to inform somebody. You know, to hip somebody, it means to inform them. Like you hip to this, I'm hip to that. And then hop was the movement behind making them inform. Like inform somebody. Now what's your next move? And I thought that was real clever to define hip hop, you know?
Well, go back to the founding fathers of hip hop. You got Grandmaster Cool C. You got Grandmaster Cool Herc. Grandmaster Melly Mel. What the fuck is these cats grandmasters of? And why ain't nobody asking them? Because they telling you they rank in the tribes. They priests. They just using music to do their priestly duties as a grandmaster.
Yeah, I remember Atum Ray said that the hip hop generation scared them because they came with that, like you said, that militant. And basically, I see from that, they don't want them to turn that into another type of energy that can help us. What do you think?
They can't stop what we're doing with hip hop. That's the foundation for the new culture. It's already laid. You can't take hip hop out the community now.
Cool. The Supreme Grand Master Teacher also said that the hip hop community are the warriors, and they are not afraid, you know, to pick up that 9mm and war against this beast neither. Cool.
You're exactly right, and that's why I say that the enemies put the black devils in our community. So when it took our leaders away. So now that the leaders gone, the infiltrators will be like, man, if I was you, gotta shoot that nigga in his face. And that war energy, he like, hell yeah, boom. He just shot his brother and another soldier that's supposed to be fighting for the same cause. That's friendly fight, right? But he did it because he was compelled by one of them black devils who was trying to keep us separated anyway. They don't want GDs talking to vice lords. Right. They don't want Nuwabians talking to Crips. They want us to have built-in animosity with each other based on our flag. We didn't come with flags. We had totem poles. They brought flags over here. So they brought that BS with them. And we fell for it because we ain't know no better. Because again, they killed off the elders and miseducated the youth. So the youth had to get it how they could get it. Right? But Big Mama gonna take care of them because we use the conflict as war training. So while they was practicing going to war, we was actually having live drills in the streets. They was going simulating warfare at basic training. We was ducking bullets in the hood. And then they tell us we wasn't in a war zone. But the guys that was in the trenches with us know we was in a war zone. the elders that was putting our brothers and sisters to rest from reckless drive-by shootings that killed everybody except the person he was going to get. They know we was in the war zone. So what do? You got to rally them troops. You got to get them warriors a common denominator so that they'll know who the real enemy is versus the perceived enemy. The perceived enemy is the enemy your enemy told you to go kill. The real enemy is the motherfucker that sent you to kill him. And you didn't even know it.
That's a backdrop too. I know we got a lot of family, a lot of friends. Just a lot of our people that serve. You know what I'm saying? And the master teacher broke down back in the day when they convinced you to go to the other side of the world and basically kill people that you don't know. They call it war. And he's breaking down that's a part of a disagreeable nature that they propagate. So I'm like, wow, you know, that's something.
Yeah, because from war, we all right. That's what war is. We all right. There ain't nobody clean in the war. When you go to war and the guy next to you is killing a person that's from the other side that's unarmed, you're not finna be trying to correct him. You might add some bullets to his gunfire, right? But we violating the codes of war. The Geneva Convention on civilians versus soldiers. But how we supposed to know? They all look alike to us. We in a foreign country with foreigners in front of us. We ain't got time to be trying to figure out if the Vermilion gray and the Zeta Reticulate gray, which one of them got 3 fingers and which got 5. We ain't got time to figure that out. We trying to count their fingers and they trying to eat us. Because you ain't gonna know which ones is the good ones unless you count their fingers, but you ain't got time. Because if you count the fingers and find out that he's the disagreeable, you just finna be dinner.
It's too late.
Too late.
But there's also the same thing with just sizing up people, especially our own people, because you know the master teacher broke down the Black Devil Scroll back in the day, right? And it kind of shook the community. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, let me read the book. And I read the book. I'm like, man, some of this is in all of us. Some of this might even be in me. How do I change this? But, you know, as we move forward, brother, it's like, it kind of seems like the more I get older, the more I recognize people that look like us participate in our destruction and they orchestrate. You know what I'm saying? So I'm starting to feel like maybe, you know what I'm saying, the Canaanites, that's a proxy for the people that's really controlling this thing that look like us. What are your feelings about that?
I tell people all the time, the most traumatic part of my journey and my discovery is when I found out that the white man is not pale skinned. The white man ain't white. Them the motherfuckers controlling all of this shit. That's them niggas that was wearing the KKK robes they brought from Barcelona, Spain with them while they was leading the raid. Go back and look at the Emmett Till story. They didn't haphazardly put them niggas going to get Emmett Till in the movie. That's because they went and got him for real. Because they heard him whistling Dixie. He was practicing the battle cry. Then they put the white woman up to be the patsy. If it ever come back, everybody gonna blame her. Ain't nobody gonna ask no questions to them niggas that went to this baby house and snatched him out. Why y'all go get him for them people? Talking about they trying to protect the community. And look what they let them do to that baby. That's not protecting the community, that's sacrificing the community.
Hold on, bro. You saying that it was brothers that looked like us that went and got Emmett Till?
It was some niggas. It was some niggas. They went and got Emmett Till and turned him over to something called a white mob. Whatever the fuck that is. Some niggas went and got Emmett Till. I've been doing this shit since I first started studying the case because I was traumatized at what happened to Emmett Till when I seen him in the Jet magazine when I was 8 years old. And when I read the story, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I can't believe nobody that looked like us do that to him. Matter of fact, I don't know if I can share it. I got the video. I've been telling them this for the longest.
They came and got him and turned him over to the mob.
Yeah, some niggas. I'm definitely call them niggas. Goddamn black devils.
Yeah.
He was gonna grow up. He was gonna be Chief Littlehorn. They knew that. They knew if he get to call that war crime, we know what it means. It's in our genetic memory so strong. If he perfect his whistle, it's over with. That's why they killed him. He got nothing to do with that lady. They be using them pale faces to do their dirt. They throw the pale face out front because that's what the whole dynamic of white supremacy is based on. Pale people taking the fall for what some niggas is doing to some people that's organic to the land. They ain't from here. That's them dirty Moors that they talk about. Noble Ali talked about them. Elijah Muhammad talked about them. Martin Luther King didn't call them dirty Moors, but he talked about them too. And he was a victim.
Cool. What was the war cry that you spoke of? What was it?
He was they called it whistling Dixie, but it's the war cry for the South to rise up. When they say South, they mean Florida. They mean Gullah War, Florida. That's what they mean when they say the South will rise. They talking about the Gullah Wars. That's us, the Iroquois Confederation, not no Confederate crackers.
So the Confederates relates to the Iroquois Confederate Nation. Wow.
Yeah, they gave us the pale Confederates to try to push the slave narrative. That's not what happened. On the plantation was Big Mama House, and they made them into POW camps. Them pink people that was in the house was the servants. That bootlicking ass nigga that Samuel L. Jackson played was the nigga that took over Big Mama House. And he was a blackamoor.
I noticed that in the movie, he took over when the slave master, Missouri Candy, you know what I'm saying, got killed. He was telling the other white overseers what to do.
Because they didn't know what to do unless master tell them. That's the part of history that's so nasty, man. I'm telling you, when I say I was traumatized and my feelings was hurting me, I don't even understand. I couldn't understand how somebody that looked like us could put us through this shit. And then I started thinking about the pale faces they used to put up in front of them.
Man, what?
Yeah.